They say you have to destroy before you can rebuild. But if you have a lot of negative self-talk, then I'm sure you've already done a great job of tearing yourself down, which means you're already ready to rebuild. Welcome back to the Live On podcast, dedicated to suicide prevention through positive personal growth and development. I'm your host, Adam. I want to take a second to touch on something I feel I should have spoken about in the first episode. I want to be clear that I'm in no way downplaying depression or the scientific parts of chemical imbalances and things like that. I'm not telling you to just get over it or that changing your mindset is some magic pill that just makes everything all right. These are tools that will foster a more positive outlook, and you'll feel overall better about yourself and your future by using these things. Because on the other hand, all the pills in the world aren't going to just magically make your life better if you don't do anything. You have to take action. You have to make changes that will allow you to begin your journey of recovery. This all starts with positive self-talk. So what is positive self-talk? It is reinforcing the things about yourself that you know are good, and actively correcting your negative thoughts. Don't forget to praise yourself at every turn when you're doing what you know you need to do. Every time you correct a negative thought, every time you let your emotions pass through without clinging to them, praise yourself. Replace beating yourself up over the bad with praising yourself over the good. Now, I know this can seem really difficult, and honestly, you might be thinking, oh yeah, talking good about myself will do a whole lot of good, but you gotta start somewhere. I know it's hard. Like I said in the first episode, I am still working on correcting myself. I had a moment where I said one thing and then immediately, said the exact opposite thing. But I did correct myself. I did catch it. And that is the most important thing, is to become aware of the negative thoughts. You got to watch them and see them happening. That way you can catch it and correct yourself. And we'll go into that a little bit more. The next big thing is you got to stop talking negatively about yourself. Don't say you're stupid. It's a terrible thing. I do it all the time. I make a mistake and I say, dumbass. But I'm not a dumbass. Neither are you. You made a mistake. And like I tell my son, it's okay to make mistakes as long as you correct them. And I feel like we beat ourselves up, over our mistakes. It's a common thing. You see it in memes and funny things all the time about, laying awake at night remembering something you did 15 years ago. And it's silly. I mean, why beat yourself up over things that have long since passed? And there's nothing you can do about it now. But the thing you can do about it is forgive yourself. Understand, hey, I made a mistake. Now I know. I learned to not do that again, right? And negative self-talk looks, like a lot of different things. Some of us have done it so long we don't even realize we're doing it. And that's where understanding what it is and starting to watch your own thoughts comes into play, because that way you can catch it and understand that you're doing it, and it will help you understand more about yourself. If you're constantly calling yourself stupid, you obviously lack confidence with your intelligence, right? So if that's the case, go out and learn. What is it you feel that you don't know enough about? Seek out that information. I mean, we live in the time of information, right? The easiest it's ever been to go out and find what we need to know. So one of my favorite things to do is anytime I'm curious about something or I wonder if I'm correct about something, I Google it. I mean, why not, right? It's right there in your phone, in your hand. It's so easy. So instead of calling yourself stupid, say, I need to learn more about this, right? One of another big ones that a lot of people, especially when they're depressed and they're feeling down, they say, I hate myself. I hate my life. Don't do that. Even if it feels that way, don't say it. Stop speaking it over yourself. You don't hate yourself. And you may say, you don't know me. Yes, I do. Well, stop saying that. That's the whole point, right? Another one, it can be as complex as saying, I'm worried. And that doesn't really sound complex, right? That's a pretty normal emotion that we all feel. But you gotta realize every time you speak that over yourself, it just compounds and gets worse. Being worried is an emotion. You're feeling anxious, right? You gotta stop interacting with that emotion so much and saying it, even if it's in your mind or if you're saying it out loud, you have to stop. Instead, have grace with yourself. Say, even though I feel worried, I know I can do this. I know I can get through this. Draw on the past experiences you have, the things that you have gone through, the times you were worried about something and you sat there and stressed about it and made yourself sick over it. And then, you ended up getting through it one way or another. The outcome may have been good, may have been bad, it may have been what you thought, or maybe not. But in the end, you made it through, you're still alive, and you learned from it, right? And if you didn't, that's a problem. So, go back, analyze those things. I was so worried about this, why? And, how did I handle it? How did I get through it? And, just have grace with yourself. None of us are perfect, right? When you catch yourself thinking or saying something negative, stop and rephrase it into something positive and encouraging. Now, this isn't always easy. I'll be honest, everything I'm going to talk about, none of it's easy. And I'm going to sit here and talk about it and just say it to you like, oh, yeah, this is all you got to do. And trust me, I know more than anyone, it's not easy. None of it's easy to do. It takes work. But nothing in life that's worth having just comes easy, right? You have to work at anything that actually has value. And it's important to keep that in mind, right? So what I like to do is take what I'm saying and turn it around, right? Instead of saying, I'm not good at this, say, I need to learn more about this. I need to practice this. I will practice this. I will get better at this, right? Now, a big thing that a lot of people struggle with here is they feel like they're lying to themselves, and you don't want to lie to yourself. You don't want to tell yourself things that aren't true. And you're thinking, well, how do I speak these things over my life if they're not true yet? This is where action takes place, and we'll get to that in a moment, but you got to just start saying it. Your words have so much power, and you can believe it or not, but I like to think that it's called spelling because, the words are a spell that you're casting over yourself. And you may think that's silly, and that's fine. I personally don't really care what you think about my beliefs, and that is what you need to have for yourself. Stop letting everyone else's thoughts and ideas play a role in what you think and believe, because in the end, it's your life. It's your, it's your feelings, your emotions, your control, and you have to take back control. So don't lie to yourself. I hate the phrase fake it till you make it, because you're faking it, right? Don't fake it take action, even if it's small steps, because those little steps, those small actions, they compound and they grow into something bigger. And when you're doing it, even if it's just for a minute a day, you're doing it. So you're not lying to yourself. It's not fake because you're doing it. Another big one to talk about with the positivity and, getting rid of those negative thoughts is your subconscious, right? So your subconscious only knows you. It doesn't know that there's other people, right? It just knows you. So even speaking negatively about other people is bad for you, right? Because your mind thinks that you're talking about yourself. It doesn't know that there's somebody else. Your subconscious believes you're talking about yourself. So it goes back to what I was talking about in the first episode too. How would you act? How would you speak to people? If you knew your words and actions could make a difference in their life. And you don't realize it, but those words and actions towards other people are making a difference in your own life as well. And it's very important to remember that. It's really hard. A lot of us, judge and talk shit on other people. It's really easy to point out other people's flaws. And when you start to break it down and look at it, usually you're pointing out the things that you're also worried about yourself. You're seeing those things in other people and bad-mouthing those things because you know deep down that you're struggling with the same thing. And it's easy to point it out in someone else. It's not as easy to point it out in ourselves, because then you have to accept that that's part of who you are, right? But it's important. I think it's really important to accept the things we don't like about ourselves. Because once you accept that that's who you are and how you are, and it's part of you, you can work at it. It's known as shadow work, dealing with your shadow self, the bad parts of you per se. And it's something you need to do. The longer you hide from it, the longer it festers and grows inside you, and the more you dislike those things, the bigger problem you let it create. So you really have to accept it, own it, and change it, right? Work with it. Understand why it is you feel that way, why those things are a part of you. And then from there, with that understanding, you have a lot more power. Another thing that will give you a lot of power and control in your life is affirmations. And it all goes back to the positive self-talk. But affirmations are real. Speaking things into existence is real. And if you don't believe me, then give it a try, because what's the worst that's going to happen, right? Nothing. So nothing will change. It won't be any different. Get over the fear of feeling silly, even if it's just, you. There's no one else around to feel silly. You got to get over it. You got to do it. So try it. You got to be conscious of the things that you want to change. And so, if you feel stupid, let's just roll with that example, right? Affirm, I am not stupid. I am learning. I am taking action towards building my knowledge. And then take the action, because that reinforces the affirmation, and they go hand in hand. The affirmation and the action, they build together, and you rewire your brain to believe that you're not stupid, because you're not. I mean, nobody is stupid, not if they're trying to learn, right? The stupid thing is to say I'm stupid and just let it be that way. That is stupid. That leads me to learning to love yourself. This is a hard one for a lot of people. And that's where the action takes place, because I believe saying it won't necessarily get it all the way there, right? I believe you have to take action. And like I said, it's small steps. You cannot expect yourself to just magically know everything tomorrow because you read one book. It's not how it works. The actions are stepping stones. The actions are going to help you reaffirm inside yourself the things that you're saying, the affirmations you're making about yourself, and say them with power. I am smart. I am learning. I can do this. The more you do that, the more you see the growth within yourself, you see these things changing, you see the actions happening, that's where you start to love yourself again, because you're becoming the person you want to be. And it's easy to just stay stuck in, disliking yourself, not liking your actions, and just repeating them because you feel like there's no point. And it's going to be hard at first. It really is, but you got to do it. You got to take action. You have to commit. You can't half-ass things, because you're just setting yourself up to fail yourself and have disappointment. And disappointment is a hard one to deal with. I used to half-ass basically everything I did, kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I was scared to look stupid or silly. I was scared of not doing it well enough. I had high expectations of myself, which it's okay to have high expectations of yourself. But you also need to have grace with yourself. You need to be humble and understand you're not perfect. That humility will allow you to have high expectations without high disappointment. It allows you to have that space to grow, because you can hold yourself up here. You just got to understand that it's a ladder. You're not just going to be magically at the top just because you think you're that good. You should think you're that good. You should absolutely believe wholeheartedly in yourself, but you have to commit. You have to go all in, because doing it halfway gets you half the results, half the excitement. It's not going to serve you. A good example for me is I did track. I did lots of sports. I played football, basketball, and I did track. But track was where I really shined, because obviously I'm a little guy, I'm fast. In football, I just got creamed. And it eventually wasn't fun because everyone was a lot bigger than me, and it beat me down, and I allowed that to, dominate my mindset of I'm not big enough, I'm not good enough. And I lost my passion for it real quick. But with track, it was just me competing with myself, which is why a lot of people like to run. And we'll talk about physical activities and how they benefit your mindset and help your personal growth in later podcasts. But I was so scared of success and failure, like I talked about before, that I wouldn't give it my all. I thought I was too cool to try hard, right? And it was just a terrible mindset. I mean, obviously. And so I never reached my full potential. And there was so much more to that. I struggled a lot in my teenage years, especially with my mindset and my confidence. And I had a lot of false confidence. I was very arrogant. But I could have been a lot better than I was. But I was scared of trying my hardest and still not being good enough. And I think that's what it all boils down to. But you got to commit. You have to try your hardest, because you'll never know if you could have done it, right? You got to give it your all. And even if your all doesn't quite meet your expectations, understand that all that means is you have some learning to do, some growing to do. As far as something physical, you have some training to do, right? Allow these things to be learning experiences. Commit, go all the way so you know your limitation and you know now that you can push it beyond that and how to get there. You can see where you lack, and that will help you push through to the next level and the next level. And the whole time you need to stay positive. You know, if you start beating yourself up because you didn't quite do good enough, that defeats the whole purpose. You got to tell yourself, good job, you gave it your all. And that right there will help you so much. That positive reinforcement of, I did try my best. And maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it would be, but I gave it my all. And now I know how to do better next time. So in conclusion, it all starts in your mind. Guide your thoughts in the direction you want them to go. I want you to say this with me. I don't care if you feel silly or stupid. Just give it your all. Commit, and let's do this. I am enough. I am taking action. I am changing for the better. I am powerful and I can do this. Then go out and take action. Even, like I said, even if it's 1 minute per day, that 1 minute compounds and compounds and grows. That 1 minute for a week or two or a month every day, you'll start to think, I can do more than that. I want to do more than that, because you start to feel good about those things that you're doing. You start to chase that natural high, back to the running, a runner's high. But it's the same sort of concept. You're doing good, you're doing what you want to do, and that gives you that natural high, that serotonin release, which allows you to feel good about it. And then you want to do more of it, and you build on that, and you build on that, and the more you do it, the better you feel, and the better you feel, the more you do it, and it goes hand in hand. I truly believe you can do this. I know you can, because I have been at the bottom. I've hated myself. I've felt terrible about everything in my life. I didn't like any of it. And yet here I am on, I wouldn't say the other side of it, because I still, have these battles that I deal with. But I'm definitely, way down the road. I have started the journey and headed in the right direction, and I am taking the steps. I'm picking the stepping stones and placing my feet firmly on them. I am taking action. I am committed 100%. I am doing this, even though I'm still nervous, right? But I'm doing it, and I feel more and more of the turmoil about it going away. I feel better about it every single time I write about these things, preparing for an episode. I feel better every time I sit down to record. And you just got to do it. Got to start today. Begin the journey. And it's not a race, You got to take your time, learn at every point you can. Gather all of that information and stay conscious of what you're thinking. Keep your focus positive. And you won't be perfect. You won't be great necessarily. You may just be borderline okay. And that is good enough if you're trying and you're doing what you need to do. Because you will grow. You will get better. You will learn more. I want you to feel good about yourself. And that all starts with positive self-talk. It all starts with taking the action to do these things. You can do this.